Hey there, I'm Lance,
I'm
and
Sam,
we are Love to Hate.
and today we're taking a look at Jurassic Parts by 25th Century Games.
Jurassic Parts is a spatial game in which players are going to be placing chisel tokens to be able to break apart the different playing area to try to get dinosaur fossils. Player who gets the most fossils is the winner. Let's go ahead and take a look at it on the table.
All right, I have Jurassic Parts on the table here. And as you could probably have guessed, Jurassic Parts is a dinosaur-themed game in which players are going to be trying to dig up different dinosaur bones and fossilized plants in order to score the most points. Players are going to have a character card in front of them, along with a matching set of chisel tokens here, chisel pieces. And turns are very simple, and they are outlined here on your player board. The first thing you're going to do is sharpen 3 chisels. Now, depending on which player you are in the game, first, second, third, fourth, that sort of thing, you might start already with some chisels. But each turn, you're going to take 3 of your dull chisels. You see right here, it says dull chisels, and you're going to move them to this side of your player board where you keep your sharp chisels. And those chisels are going to help you to break up the playing field. You can see there's going to be gaps in between these hexes here. And that's exactly what you're going to be doing with your chisels. You're going to take them and place them in between the gaps of the tiles here. And thematically, what you're doing is you're breaking up the ground in order to dig out these bones. Now, any spaces between 2 tiles that don't have any rocks printed on them, you can just simply place a chisel piece in between those 2 tiles. However, if there are rocks on one tile but not on the other, then you're going to have to spend one of your sharpened chisels, putting it on your dull side to be able to place a second one there. And so thematically, you're doling one of your chisels in order to break through that rock to be able to place the other chisel there. Now, in the event that there are going to be rocks on both tiles that you are trying to separate, then you're going to have to dole 2 chisels, one for each set of rocks. And so I would have to dole 2 to be able to place a third chisel right here. And as you can see, it's going to push these tiles apart from one another. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a complete break. And so I've already got one started here. And let's say that throughout the course of the game, I end up placing here and here and 2 more. We'll say right here and right here. Once I have created a complete break from the rest of the playing surface, then play immediately stops and we separate these tiles, we move them out. And then we look at which players contributed to this break in the playing surface. Now, in this case, it was only me. And so if it's only me, then I am going to get half of the number of tiles rounded up. So in this case, I've got 3 tiles here. I would get to keep 2 of them. And the third tile would go to the field leader over there, which we're going to come back to him here in just a second. Now, in the event that there had been another player who contributed here, say one of the other players in the game put at least 1 of their chisels in this line, then I would get 2 and they would get the third that is left over. Now, if it's different numbers here, let's pretend that these 2 are in it and we've got 5 tiles here. First of all, these darker orange tiles are face down. We would flip those tiles over to reveal what is hidden on the other side. And again, whoever had the majority here is going to get half rounded up. So in this case, we've got 5. Half is 2.5. Rounded up would be 3. So I would get 3. Then the next player would get half of whatever's left over. So half of 2 is 1. They might take this one. And then the 1 tile left over would again go to the field leader. If there are more than 2 players involved, say there's 3, you would just continue to do half and half and half until you can no longer do that, and whatever is left over goes to the field leader. And then, as you can see, the playing surface has shrunk. You would take back any of these chisels that were left over, put them back to the players they belong with, and play would continue. And so you are trying to complete dinosaur sets. So you can see here that some of these have dinosaurs on them, like the Velociraptor here. And you can tell because it says VR here in the bottom corner, and that lets you know that this is part of the Velociraptor, whereas BR would stand for Brontosaurus. And so that's how that works. Now, these are the plant fossils, and those are obviously not dinosaurs. So we're going to show you guys how these score. And everybody gets one of these handy-dandy handouts here, letting you know the different tiles that you need in order to be able to score. So you can see a Triceratops here gives you 7 points, but you're going to need 3 of the tiles to complete the set. The T-Rex here is going to give you 10 points, but you need 4. And you can see the other dinosaurs there. Now you can see pterodactyls there at the top. They give you 1 point because they're only 1 tile. And then you can see here the pile of bones gives you 5 points. There's 3 of them in the entire game. And you always make sure to put 1 pile of bones in the center of the playing surface. Those are wild. They can be counted as any dinosaur set. You can sub them in, but if you hold on to them at the end of the game, they are worth 5 points. These plants are going to give you additional points depending on how many you have at the end of the game. You can see the value of them increases as you get more of them. That's pretty much the gist of the game. You can see here you're going to start your turn by sharpening 3 chisels. You can play your chisels. You can interact with the field leader, which we'll come to here next. But the last thing you can do is you can save 1 chisel for your next turn. So the field leader is going to allow you to take additional actions. And so they're printed here on your player board, but they are also printed on the field leader's board. And so the field leader is going to allow you to sell 1 of your tiles to him for, in exchange, 1 amber. And these are your amber tokens. They're very nice hard plastic tokens here. And you'll also get amber anytime you complete a dinosaur set. And what you can use that amber for is you can use it to take one of these 4 actions. You can see down here that the first action you do on your turn is going to cost you 1 amber. If you do a second action, it's going to cost you 2. And if you do a third, it's going to cost you 3. Some of the things you can do are you can ignore rocks, 2 rocks. The next 2 chisels you place are going to ignore the rocks. You can sharpen 2 additional chisels. You can take any fossil tile from the field so long as it doesn't cause a break. And then the last thing you can do is you can take a fossil tile from the field leader. So I mentioned earlier that when breaks happen, you move those extra ones that are left over onto the field leader, and you can buy them from him later on in the game, probably to complete a set. The game is going to continue until there are 2 tiles left in the playing surface. So let's pretend it's these 2 right here, and all the other tiles have been divvied up. Then whichever player is left is going to pick one of the 2 tiles for themselves, again revealing any that are face down, and then the leftover one would just go to the field leader. Players are going to add up their points off of completed dinosaur sets, piles of bones, however many plants they have. Leftover amber is going to give you points, and any tiles that are of incomplete sets of dinosaurs are going to be worth 1 point each. Whoever has the most is the winner, and that is how you play Jurassic Parts. Okay, so here's Sam and I doing a 2-player playthrough of Jurassic Parts, and right now we're going to share our thoughts on this game. I'll go first, and I really enjoy spatial games, games that have some sort of aspect to them where you have to think in terms of 3D or the playing surface gets smaller or larger or whatever the case may be. And that's exactly what you have here with Jurassic Parts. The playing surface shrinks, and you want to make sure that you're having at least a part, if not the majority, of the hand in doing the breaking of the playing surface so that you can get those tiles. I think that's a very clever mechanic in this game, and I think Jurassic Parts does it well. Sam, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I actually really did like this game. I wasn't so sure how I would feel about it with the spatial aspect, but I really enjoyed it. I'd like to play it again because I feel like after playing it one time, you just understand it a little bit better. But the part where you said you want at least a part of that section that's being broken off, and that's so true because there's a couple times, maybe just once, where I realized you were sectioning something off and I didn't have any pieces there. If you just have one piece, then you can at least get your small amount. And if you have nothing, you get nothing.
Right.
And so kind of not being hyper focused on the area that you're trying to break off, but making sure that your opponent isn't kind of just doing their own thing either.
Yeah. There's opportunities to be clever and just sneakily break off a little segment for yourself.
And just thinking about the number of pieces that are in your section, because if there's 6, you get 3. If there's 7, you get 4.
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to be mindful of where exactly you are making these breaks. And, the rocks on the tiles play a factor in that too. There's just so many clever little things that go into how this game works. That it combines that all really well, and it all makes sense. It makes sense with the theme of being an archaeologist, and you're digging up these fossils, and your chisels wear out if you're going through rocks.
Yeah, it totally made sense why that would use more chisels.
Right. Yeah. So with that being said, is this easy to understand? Is this something that seems to flow real well?
Yeah, I would actually like to play it with our 9-year-old and see if he's able to understand it. But it's definitely an easy game, great for non-gamers, I would think.
Yeah, I think so too. Now, on the flip side of this, I do think this is maybe a little bit of a one-trick pony, and in that this is kind of you're just placing chisels down, trying to be smart.
There isn't anything that makes it more difficult.
Right. And I would say that those backpack cards or whatever they're called, I can't think of them off the top of my head, that may be the one way you can sort of spice it up and inject some newness to the game.
Well, we both forgot that we had those.
Forgot to use the ones that we had, though. And so you can still get kind of lost in just the main game, lost in the sense of I'm so engaged with this that I kind of forget everything else.
Well, it's kind of like the opposite of sitting around a table putting a puzzle together. It's sitting around a table and taking a puzzle apart.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that.
And so you kind of have that thoughtful, silent play almost.
Yeah. This is kind of a silent game, isn't it? Yeah. But back to what I was saying about One Trick Pony here. It might have the propensity to become samey at some point.
Yeah.
So I think that's something you just have to keep in mind, that this is an excellent game at what it does. The spatial aspect to it, the theme works real well with it. I love the art too. I thought the art was really nice and it works with it. But it is a one-trick pony, and it's kind of one of those games that you'll play and you don't want to just constantly keep playing it because it could get worn out. But you play it once every now and then, and you're gonna have a good time with this game. I feel like,
especially if you play it with a new person, it's a good icebreaker game, I think.
Yeah. So Sam, the things that you like about Jurassic Parts here, let's cover those up. What are some of the things you like?
It was very easy to understand. It's pretty quick. Thinking back on it, I really enjoy some of those more silent games where you have to think and just kind of make your moves versus the more hectic, chaotic games. They both have their time and their place, but I do like
Is it relaxing?
Yeah, the relaxing aspect. It's not so competitive, but it's a lot of fun. It's interesting. It's unique.
Okay. And how about the things maybe you're not too keen on?
It can definitely get samey. You can be a little bit too much into what you're doing. You need to make sure that you're paying attention to your opponent. Obviously, we were so interested in the board that we forgot about the cards that we had, to kind of add a little bit more oomph to the game. But overall, there's not a whole lot that I disliked.
Okay. And so you would recommend playing this with non-gamers?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, very good. So scale of 1 to 10. Love to hate. What do you give Jurassic Parts?
I think I'd give it a 7.5.
Okay, very nice, very nice. I'm actually going to go a little higher than you on this one. I really did enjoy this. I'm going to go 7.7. I think this was a fantastic experience. Lots to like about this one.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
Okay, well, make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
All right, I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.